Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. It is Coach Molly. For those of you who don't know me, I have the privilege of working alongside your fabulous coaching team to make sure that you have all the support and answers you need to be prepared to do the 3-day. And we're really, really glad that you're here. I don't think we've done a social hour since April of this year, which is a departure from 2020 and 2021 when we did these monthly. So we've had the great pleasure of being together in person in Boston and in Chicago so far this year. So we haven't had the need to bring the community together in a virtual capacity because we've actually been able to come together in a real capacity. So as most of you likely know, I just hit record on this because we do like to share the social hours with people after the fact. So you are being recorded. We do ask that everybody please stay muted if you are not speaking, and if you have crazy things going on in the background behind you, then you might not want to be on video. We've been pretty lucky with that, and I always say on these that I'm probably just about to jinx us because we've never had any crazy things happen on our social hours in that capacity. But the goal of our social hours is really just an opportunity for us to get together, to enjoy being in and surrounded by the pink bubble and being inspired by our participants while we wait to come together. So it has been really great to be together in Boston and in Chicago this year. I think by the time I got to Chicago, by the time we got to Sunday, and I saw the photo that you posted me on from Sunday morning, and I was like, I look a lot better than I thought that I looked on Sunday morning of Chicago. So it's been really great to see many of you on both of those events, and to know that we have 2 more events to look forward to is a treat for all of us. So if you are a first-time walker or crew member, we do ask that you write down on a piece of paper, first-time walker or first-time crew, because there will come a point where we do ask you to flash those signs so that we can officially welcome you to the 3-day community. But if you've been here before, we're going to do our breathing exercise. So I'd like everybody to please close your eyes, and I'd like you to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. We'll do that one more time. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Okay. I would love to turn this over to Andy Hughes. She is our National Director of the Komen 3-day series. And some of you have had the pleasure of meeting her on event, and hopefully some of you will get to meet her in the next 2 events. But we wanted to have you guys learn a little bit more about Andy and give her an opportunity to say hello to all of you.
Thank you so much. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. It's hello from Connecticut, so I'm on the East Coast, so it's a little after 8 here. So doing that breathing exercise, lulls me right out. No, but I'm really excited to be with you all here today. I have had the pleasure. I already see some familiar faces. I have had the pleasure of meeting some of you. I was at the walk in Boston, and then had the bad fortune of getting COVID and still testing positive right before Chicago. So I was not able to go to Chicago, although I was following everything through social media, from, buses getting lost to exciting, wonderful pictures to all sorts of things. So I could still feel the energy and the great vibes, but really looking forward to Dallas and to San Diego. I should say Dallas, Fort Worth, and San Diego. So yeah, as Coach Molly said, I started here in August. So this is my first round with the 3-day series. Really excited to be part of the Komen team, as well as the 3-day team. I'm coming from the American Cancer Society, where I was for over 25 years in various different capacities. I ran the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer program for many, many, many years. And Real Men Wear Pink, a bunch of different breast cancer charities walks, including Relay for Life, and then most recently running the marketing and communications for the American Cancer Society. So I'm so excited to be in the pink and really focused on the pink. That's really been very special for me. My mom is a triple negative recent breast cancer survivor. She'll be hitting, she's at about 4.5 years. So fingers crossed to get to the 5 and beyond. So without further ado, I'll turn it over, but just thanks for having me.
Thank you, Andy. We're so glad that you're here. And as I said, please make sure that you make a point to go up and say hi to Andy if you are doing Dallas or San Diego so that you can say hello to her. We also have some new staff members who have started since we last did a social hour. So Coach Kristen, who is our crew and volunteer coordinator, she is not able to be here with us tonight, but she is actually a longtime 3-day participant who is now our crew and volunteer coordinator. So we'll have her answer some random questions when she's able to join us, hopefully for the December social hour. But we also have a new coach who joined our team. Basically, I was like, hey, how about you join our team and I'll go to Italy and I won't have anything to do with your onboarding. How does that sound? And she said, that's great. So Coach Danny is here. And so Danny, if you want to come off mute, I have a handful of questions for you so that our 3-day community can get to know you a little bit. What was your last job right before you came to work on the 3-day?
Okay, so right before I came to the 3-day, I worked for a service fraternity called Alpha Phi Omega. They're affiliated with the Boy Scouts, and I had a similar role, but instead of coaching adults, I coached college students on like running their fraternity.
Wonderful. Okay. What is one word that you would use to describe the 3-day?
Ooh, I would definitely say passionate for sure.
You nailed it. Very good. And now Danny is going to see her very first 3-day. We have the good fortune oftentimes of having our coaches be participants before they're in the coaching role. And Danny is fresh to the 3-day, which brings a great new perspective and a really great opportunity to have someone who sees the event through a different lens. And so Danny will be seeing her first 3-day in Dallas, and then she will also be with us in San Diego, since there are totally different experiences when you're in a hotel versus at camp. So Danny, what is one thing that you are looking forward to seeing on your very first 3-day?
I think the thing that I'm looking forward to the most is just like meeting everyone. I've been like messaging you guys on Facebook and like emailing you, but I don't like know you. So I really am looking forward to that like face-to-face interaction.
Awesome. What is something that you've learned since you started working on the 3-day that's surprised you?
Okay, so I think the most surprising thing is just like how helpful everyone is, like both on the coaching side and on the participant side. Like I'm on the Facebook all day long, every day. And before I can even answer these questions, y'all are like, here's the answer. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? You guys are awesome.
By the way, there are two really key people who are responsible for that, who are on this call. One is Kat and the other is Julie. Those are two people who jump in all the time. So thank you to Kat and Julie and everyone who does that. Okay. I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions a la Brene Brown, if anyone listens to her podcast. So I didn't choose all, I think she asked us like 8 or 10 questions. I didn't do that. I picked the ones that I liked. So what's the last show that you binged and loved?
Maybe this is lame, but the Kardashians, like the new season on Hulu, it's like my vice.
I think if you're on the Zoom and you also watch the Kardashians, can you please give us like for the reactions, like give us a thumbs up, because I'd be curious to know who else watches the Kardashians. No, really? No thumbs up? Oh, I see one.
Do we have to admit that?
Yes, you have to admit that. I mean, if Danny was brave enough to do it, I think others should follow. It looks like only one person. Really? Well, only one person?
We're probably trying to find the reaction thing.
Okay. Yeah. Reactions are down at the bottom. You can also just put it in the chat screen. Andy, you do too, huh? The Kardashians? Okay. All right. What's a concert that you'll never forget?
Okay, the first concert that I ever went to was with my mom. I was like 12, and it was REO Speedwagon, and there was a tornado, and we all had to like shelter in like a ditch, and it was great. Never forget.
What's your favorite meal?
Like a progressive dinner sort of thing, starting with sushi and then moving on to like some spaghetti and then finishing with cookies for sure.
Okay, very good. What's on your nightstand?
A book, a lamp, and probably some water.
Okay. What is one thing that you're grateful for right now?
I got to have like an hour-long call with my mom this afternoon, and that was great.
That's fantastic. Andy, do you want to answer any of these questions? I don't want you to feel left out.
Oh. Well, I was nodding my head at the, the book, the water, the lamp. Big fan of sushi too. I would never normally admit to having watched the Kardashians. I say things like my favorite shows are Call the Midwife. I do love American Horror Story. That's a guilty pleasure of mine as well. Yeah. If there's anything else you want to know, feel free to ask.
What's a concert that you'll never forget?
Oh, that I'll never forget. Probably the Grateful Dead at Giant Stadium.
That sounds
I mean,
fantastic.
it's also hard to remember it, but I'll never forget.
I'll never forget that I almost didn't remember it. Got it.
Right.
Okay. And what's one thing that you are grateful for right now?
I'm gonna go with the standard health that my whole family had COVID recently, and that we all got through it okay. And then extended family recently had COVID as well. And my father-in-law is still pretty sick with it. So I'm gonna go with I'm grateful for health and getting through the pandemic.
Good, good. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm running the show here behind the scenes, which normally I just show up and make everybody talk. So hold on, because it is my favorite part of the social hour. Let's see. Okay. This or that. All right. Can you guys see anything? Okay. Is it everything?
Yes, ma'am.
You're seeing everything at once?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, we're seeing 4.
Okay, 4. I think scroll. Can you guys
Ish.
can answer
Yeah,
everything at once? Okay, this is anticlimactic. So, all right, for the first one, apple cider or pumpkin spice, please choose. Is it letting you choose?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's telling me like 0% are answered, but that's okay. I think you
We haven't hit submit yet. That's why.
Got it. Okay, this is, yeah. I didn't build it, but we're all gonna
Looks
answer
like-
it.
Yeah, we have to answer them all before we
Answer
submit.
all of them. Okay, lessons learned.
Mm. That's why we have a tech person,
Yeah. The tech person's off duty right now.
right? Exactly. I think you'll see your numbers.
Yeah,
bumping
my numbers
soon,
are
so.
definitely going for sure. But you know, this is good because this will make this section go by quicker, because usually, you know, we're deliberating and someone's like, but I don't like these answers. Then I have to remind you it's this or that, not this or that, and something I want to add in. So, all right, 65% have participated. So we're just I'm gonna wait. It's gonna be that like uncomfortable silence. I got my hair cut today. Could you tell, Heather? Yeah,
I was gonna say it looks beautiful, Molly.
thank you.
Yeah,
very much.
looks nice.
I
Is
really-
that why you weren't answering my call?
Yeah,
Getting your
you
hair done?
called? I didn't even know you called.
I needed you.
Getting rid of the split ends is always good.
For the record, we did a run through of this, not obviously launching the poll on Zoom, but we ran through the questions, I think, this morning, and we asked Danny Halloween or Thanksgiving, and she goes, my birthday.
We're like,
My birthday
that's not how it
was, like,
works.
3 days before Thanksgiving. Like,
Bingo.
I mean, it was, you know, totally appropriate. All right, we have 41, 42 of 46, 4 more of you. Is someone holding out and just not going to do this, or Julie, you're not doing it? She's trying.
I did it. I submitted.
Not you, Julie. Julie Lobdell.
Oh, sorry.
I answered.
Okay.
I was
42,
shaking my head no for not opting out.
42 of 46. All right. I'm going to give it 30 more uncomfortable seconds before we move on. But I can see these responses and there is really not a single one on here that is super close. There's some that's a landslide, but all right. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and we're going to see the responses. Okay. Share results. Should I share the results or should this be where I tell you what I see? I'll share the results. Okay. You can see them? Yeah. Okay. So
Yes,
apple
sir.
cider versus pumpkin spice. We're more apple cider than we are pumpkin spice.
Mhm.
Halloween or Thanksgiving by a landslide. So that was a no-brainer. Scary movie or haunted house over scary movie. I did also see like scary movie or cemetery or haunted house or cemetery. I dropped the cemetery. Candy corn or caramel apples. Also, do you say caramel? What, right? Is it caramel?
Caramel. It's caramel.
It's one of
Caramel.
those potato things.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's caramel, right?
No,
No,
it's caramel.
Oh dear.
Caramel. Okay, chili or soup, definitely soup. Spiders or bats, gross, both, but bats. I chose bats too because they only come out at night, right? So
Right.
there's that.
Well, bats, a single bat will eat 3 times its body weight in mosquitoes. That makes it okay in my book.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
but I can kill a spider.
Okay, yeah, all
I
right.
had to wake my husband up last night to kill the spider under our bed. I'm new to these Texas-sized bugs. I'm not exaggerating, was this big, and my 85-pound dog was laying next to it, and I freaked out because I wanted to get the dog out of there. So I'll take a bat any day. They won't be on the floor.
Unsubscribe, no, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, it was close. I think this was the closest one, pumpkin patch or apple orchard, and we are more apple people again than pumpkin people.
Apple picking is fun.
Apple picking is fun. Yeah. I just made an apple cider donut bundt cake. Martha Stewart has a
Yeah.
very easy and delicious recipe. I highly recommend it. And I'm waiting on a delivery from UPS, Heather, to mail. I like overnighted some apple cider
Michigan
donut
donuts. Oh,
from
yeah.
somewhere in Michigan. I'll let you know how they are.
I
Okay.
would have sent
You
them
need
to you
to share
myself.
that cake recipe, Molly.
Okay, I will. I promise.
Sounds really good.
Okay, we are going to move on to a conversation with a longtime 3-day participant, Ellen Banta. And Ellen, I see that you're here and I don't think that you are muted, correct? I can hear you.
I just unmuted myself.
Perfect. Thank you for being with us. So I don't think that Karen is here, so I can share your participation history.
Yes. That's true.
And I was telling Ellen, I was
What?
like, here's what I'm gonna say. And she was like, well, it's sort of a little thing. Karen Rush doesn't actually know how many events I've done. I don't tell her to drive her crazy. So I was like, oh, I can keep that out if you want. But so Ellen walked in her very first 3-day in 2006 in Tampa Bay. And since that time, she has done 46 3-days. She's walked 44 times and crewed twice. And she's raised more than $117,000. So huge round of applause for Ellen's contribution to the 3-day and her participation.
Thank you.
We hear time and time again that breast cancer doesn't discriminate and it doesn't care how much you walk or work to fund a cure for breast cancer. I know I have been working on the 3-day for a very long time, and it always strikes me when we have people like Ellen who put their heart and soul into finding a cure and then get personally impacted by breast cancer with their own diagnosis. So I wanted to bring Ellen on because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I think that she provides a unique perspective. I've had, and I think many of us on this call have had I don't want to say front row seat, but we've been on the sidelines because Ellen has been very honest and open with her diagnosis and has been updating a journal once a week. And I know I personally have learned a lot through what she's been through and what she has shared. And I'm sure that's just a very small fraction of what life has been like for her since she has been diagnosed with breast cancer. So Ellen, first of all, thank you very much for being willing to come on and speak to us and to share your story with your 3-day family. And I thought, you know, if you could just talk to us a little bit about when did you find out that you had breast cancer? What was that experience like for you? What did you do?
Well, I found out on April 21st of this year. I'm gonna give a little back history because I think it's really important. We moved in December of 2019 and then COVID hit. And I couldn't get an appointment for a mammogram before I moved. And I most definitely couldn't get one during COVID. I was a new patient, and so nothing was available to me. And then once COVID was easing down, it was just impossible to get an appointment for a mammogram. And then life was happening and I let it slide for a few months. I would call every once in a while and say, have there been any cancellations? Are there any new openings? Where can I, but I live in Westchester, Pennsylvania, and anywhere within the Philadelphia area, it was just really, it was impossible to find something. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I found a lump. And a very substantial lump, and it came on very quickly. And I couldn't get in for a mammogram, but I finally got a doctor as my general practitioner. And this woman, God love her, I saw her, I got an appointment, I saw her, and she said, we're making an appointment for you right now for a mammogram. By the way, I just called a breast surgeon and you have an appointment with her tomorrow. And I went to see the breast surgeon before my mammogram. And she said, I just want you to know, I called in breast oncologist and you have an appointment with her in 2 days. I hope you don't mind. So, and all of the people that I've dealt with have been women, and they've made this happen. And so I did get my mammogram. I knew it was cancer. And then I just kind of went into, okay, what do we do? Let's make this happen. Then all the tests, the mammograms, the biopsies, you know, all of that starts happening. And from May 21st, from when my actual diagnosis was, which is probably about 4 days after I'd seen my general practitioner, but I myself couldn't get an appointment.
Wow.
That's a wall that people really hit. And I have very good, you know, one of the blessings is I have wonderful medical insurance, but it doesn't matter.
And I think that, you know, Ellen, what strikes me about what you're saying too, is you're a very, like, you obviously advocate for your site, like you take matters into your own hands. And so imagine what that experience is like for someone who's doesn't feel as confident and doesn't feel.
Yeah, or doesn't have someone to advocate for, because I was very fortunate because I was just becoming exhausted by the process. My husband stepped up and he's got tons of notes in his phone, you know, and keeps track of everything. You know, and you have to have someone who's willing, either yourself or someone else who's willing to advocate on your behalf.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is your course of treatment and the prognosis that was shared with you?
So my breast surgeon actually convinced us to do a very aggressive chemotherapy regimen. So I had 3 months of weekly chemotherapy of Pembro, Taxol, and Carbo. Those are short names for, and then that ended in the end of August, and I'm in a 4 rounds of andromycin, which is very nasty stuff. It's a much more aggressive chemo. It totally wipes out all of your white blood cell count. And then within a 72-hour period, you go in and you get a shot, and it boosts the white cell count again. So that first week, but that's every 3 weeks. So, and I only have 4, and my last one is next Friday.
Great.
And I'll be done with chemo, hopefully.
Good. Very good. And because of your involvement with Susan G. Komen, it sounds like very quickly you had an incredible team who surrounded you and put things into action. So it doesn't seem like you necessarily had to pull any levers or reach out to Susan G. Komen to try to see what they could do. But I know that your 3-day family has been there for you in other ways. Yeah.
Very much so. Part of the thing about, moving in 2019 and having COVID and all that is I really didn't have any deep connections locally, and none of my family lives near us either. And so when I reached out to people, I knew that my 3-day family, the people that I'm with on all of those walks, I knew that they would step up, and of course they did. They just enveloped me with, love and care, and just they were there. And then it expanded. And one of the most fascinating things is just the 3-day community in general has, I get cards, I get gifts in the mail, I, texts, hope you're okay. There are people that are following my Caring Bridge and, will reach out, and it makes you feel so that you're not as alone, because going through any kind of chronic or acute illness, it's a lonely path, and it is the support in the community. I don't know how I would have gotten through the last 5 months if I hadn't had that community behind me, because it's a lot for my husband to carry on, right? And I don't have anyone necessarily locally that I could have leaned on like I could have the 3-day community.
Yeah. And how are you feeling today?
Today is great. The chemo I'm going through right now is really horrible crap, but I have these long stretches in between them. So the first week I feel kind of miserable, but then I have 2 weeks where I can do almost anything. We put all the summer patio equipment away today and washed everything down, and so today I feel really great. Tomorrow I might feel tired.
Yeah. Okay. Can you tell us why did you first sign up for the 3-day? How did you find the 3-day?
Oh my. Well, I volunteered locally for the 3-day for the 5Ks, and I did it every year. And I used to put the packages together for them for any of the teams and all of that. And I had heard about this 3-day 60-mile thing, and I would complain in the room with the other volunteers, no one will even walk with me. How the hell am I going to get anyone to do this? But I really want to do this. This is, I'm committed here, but I want to expand that. And there was a woman in the room, and she said, Ellen, just go sign up. just go do it. I did. I
Yeah.
went to Tampa. I chose Tampa because I had never been there.
Okay. All right. And how has your diagnosis changed your view of the 3-day and your participation in it?
Well, I don't know if it necessarily changes it, because I was pretty darn committed to begin with. You have to be,
Yeah.
right, to do that many walks. But I have a new focus in it, and just that I think Susan G has to do a better job getting out the information that they actually support and help cancer patients. And I know that because I know people who have family members who have been supported, who mortgages have been paid, groceries have been purchased for them. That information needs to be out there, because I think it's something that the general community doesn't necessarily know about. And I think that people would look at Susan G. Komen a little bit differently if they understood that. And as someone who has really good health care, I cry when I think about the men and women who don't and are having to make choices about what they're going to be doing.
Yeah. What is one piece of advice that you'd give to someone who's going through treatment?
Rely on your people. Allow them, allow them to step in and help you, and be gentle to yourself.
And what is one piece of advice that you'd give to someone who is supporting someone going through treatment?
It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. There's someone that I know very casually through the 3-day. Actually, there's 2 people. I get a card every week from them, every week, just saying, I'm thinking about you. Hope today's a good day. That is just, it puts me over the moon. Every time I see, their address, I'm like a little girl, because I know that I'm not alone. And that's way more important than the chocolates I've received, the other things, because of just how it makes me feel emotionally.
Yeah. And what's one emotion that you didn't expect to feel during this process?
Oh, shoot, gratitude. That's easy. Gratitude. I'm not necessarily a glass half full kind of person, but I get so much joy from the people who love me that I'm just, I don't take any of it for granted. I am just so grateful that I have them to love.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would want to share with the 3-day community?
Thank you. Thank you for, the last 16 years, and thank you for all the kindness that has been shown to me the last 5.5 months, and 2023 is gonna rock.
Yeah. I told Ellen it's weird being on the 3-day and not seeing her walking with her posse and doing her end of the day photos and stuff like that, but there's a piece of you on every single event for sure. So we're very eager to have you back on the 3-day, and I'm really grateful that you've been so open with your experience, as I said, I've learned a lot from just reading what it's been like for you as well. And it's just also a good reminder, I think, for all of us, in that, you know, there is no single breast cancer journey that is the same, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody goes through something so different. When my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 1999, I remember, you know, that she said something very similar, Ellen, about like the gratitude piece, of course, and you know that there are a lot of silver linings that come out of a breast cancer diagnosis, or at least for her, in terms of the clarity that you get and the focus on what's important, and just taking joy from the small things. And so it's you know, reaffirming to hear you say that as well, because I think, especially as we all are kind of getting way back into the swing of things post-COVID, and I think it's just a good reminder to just continue to be grateful for the small things. And I think, you know, one thing that you said that really resonated for me, you know, I mean, I don't think anyone on this call has escaped some sort of a sad or devastating loss at this point in our lives, and have been witness to that for the people we love too. And I know from having lost my father at a very young age, being on the receiving end of people who don't say anything because they're afraid of saying the wrong thing. And I think, kind of echoing what you said, Ellen, like, I'd rather someone take the risk and say the wrong thing than not say anything at all. And I think, as you said, Ellen, it's the small things that oftentimes mean the most to people who are going through something like this. To just know that you're thinking about someone makes a really big difference.
I think, you know, one of the reasons the 3-day community stepped up in such a big way for me is that we are cognizant of, you know, breast cancer and what that entails, whether they've gone through it themselves or because someone they loved has gone through it. And that's why it's so easy for them. You know, I used to always say about fundraising for the 3-day, it's not, you know, you never know who's going to make a donation, but don't be disappointed by the people you wish would make a donation. You know, I have people in my life that have never donated. I've walked for 16 years. Holy cow. You know this, but you can't take that up. But so it's the same concept, you know. You never know who's going to step up into the plate and take care of you and hug you. And it could be someone totally just off of left field and say, holy mackerel, I never would have expected that from them. And that's kind of what happened for me within that 3-day community.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much again for being willing to share your story, and for being here with us tonight. So we send you all of our love and continued good thoughts that the rest of your treatment goes well, and your quick return to the 3-day. So I know you had thought that maybe you might come to San Diego. Have you made a decision about that, or is it too soon?
No, my surgery is going to be right around that time, probably.
Yeah.
I have an MRI within less than a week after my last chemo, and I see my breast surgeon at the beginning of November. And so it's very likely that it will happen or Thanksgiving-ish.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so that won't be happening.
Right. Okay. All right. Very good. Well, we'd love for you to stay for the rest of the social hour, but also understand if you need to peace out. So thank you. Thank you again for being here, Ellen. We appreciate it.
Sure thing. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. All right. Well, transitioning to our next special guest speaker, I'm going to ask Mr. Jim Hillman to come off of mute and really kind of speaking to just the advancements in care and what is made possible by the dollars that all of you incredible participants raise, and certainly people like Jim Hillman, who is being asked to speak with me tonight, because this is a man who has recently surpassed the threshold of raising more than $250,000 in his lifetime with the 3-day. So first, just Jim, just a huge round of applause. I think you can hopefully you see all of the hand clapping that's going on. And so there are less than 10 participants who have reached this incredible milestone. So you are in small company. I'm not saying it right, but you know, you're a part of an elite group of people. That's what it is. There's a small group of people who have reached this milestone, but Jim's lifetime fundraising is more than $255,000. It's closing in on $256,000. His first 3-day was in 2008. He has never crewed, and he has been active on 74 3-days to date. And Jim and I were going back and forth via email, and he was like, I think it's really 73 because 3-Day Nation. And I was like, oh, 3-Day Nation was a very real event. And last year at this time, like we were having like major like pink bubble bundle issues. And I was like, that was a real event and we all went through it. So that counts. But I know that Andy wanted to say a few words to you, Jim, before we kind of go into our little Q&A to learn a little bit more about your participation. But on behalf of Susan G. Komen, Andy wanted to say a few words as well.
Thank you.
Well, so Jim, first I have to pick my jaw up off the ground for the amount of events and the amount of money. You know, when we're talking about what Susan G. Komen is able to offer to actually help pay for somebody's mortgage payment, to buy them groceries, we're not talking about what Komen is able to do. We're talking about what you provide and what you do directly for breast cancer patients. So I get a little choked up. I just wanted to say thank you. It's really truly, when you think of your lifetime and what you accomplish, when we all reflect, to think that you have raised over $250,000 to ensure that people get the services, the help, the research to find a cure. I mean, I hope you just reflect and know that you have truly made an amazing impact.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Jim, I always like to start at the beginning. And I think the interesting thing about you is like, you've been around for a really long time, but we also have people on here who don't necessarily know your story. So I'd love it if you could share with everyone what inspired you to first do the 3-day.
Okay. My mom had breast cancer, and when it came back the second time, she lost her battle in 2004 after an 8-year battle. And for 4 years, I sat there and basically whined about why did it take my mom's life. I always say she was 78 years young when she passed away. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that we're all here for a reason. And so I get to work early. I drove in at 5 in the morning every day, and I'm driving up the freeway and made the decision that it's time to stop whining. It's time to do something. How can I make it so there's no more of my mom's being lost? And kind of thought about that during the day, and I'm driving home, and I listening to sports radio, and the one radio advertisement was, if you want to make a difference, come out and join Susan G. Komen 3-day. And that was when it was returning to San Francisco in 2008. And I thought, okay, that can't be a coincidence. The good Lord's telling me. I thought about it in the morning, and I'm getting this answer in the afternoon. I went to the Getting Started meeting. And on the way home, I called my wife and said, hey, Becky, I'm signed up. And she goes, you were just going to take a look at this. And I said, you watch that 15-minute video and not sign up. And so she signed up for crew, and then took the first steps in 2008 in San Francisco. And it was a life-changing event. And I say that in all honesty, and to think of how much more of a life-changing event it turned out to be is something I could have never understood going into it.
Mhm,
And so that's when I got started and how I got started.
mhm. What is your mom's name?
Ruth
Okay,
Hazel Hillman.
very good. Can you share your favorite 3-day memory? I'm sure that's really hard.
If you
but-
allow me a little latitude, and I'll show. There are so many memories after 15 years and all those walks. But if you give me a couple minutes, I'll put it down to 3 because they each had a different major impact. In 2011, I walked all 14 cities. And Boston was the first one, and anybody that walked Boston in 2011 will remember it was just a little bit warm that year.
Just a little bit.
They closed the routes at 11 in the morning because the heat index was like 122. It was ridiculous. And on day 2, we woke to rain, and it was what saved me. That was day 2 of 42 days that year. And on Belmont Hill, I met met a little girl by the name of Zoe. And she is a 9-year-old girl who had lost her mom the year before and knew nothing about her. But I gave her a little hug, stepped back, took a photo of her with her sign. And I remember calling my wife and saying, I don't know what it is, but we got to help her. And so I posted her photo. And the outpouring of love from the 3-day for this little girl that nobody knew anything about was incredible. And in San Francisco, which was the 6th walk, I put a photo on my backpack. And it was because people were coming up to me and saying, why are you walking so many walks? And so basically the photo said, there's this little girl on the back. We still did not know who she was after 6 walks. And I said, we walk for little girls like this so that they don't have to lose their mothers. And that was the year we went out to Treasure Island and slept for camp. And on the 3rd day when we were leaving, which was the 10th anniversary of 9/11, we were on the boat going away, and a lady came up behind and asked where I got that photo. And to make a long story short, it was a lady that took care of Zoe.
Wow.
And she introduced me to her name. And that's when the community got involved. And they did everything from provide a new furnace for their family, which was 3 girls. They have nothing. They couldn't afford to do anything. They're Section 8 housing, the whole 9 yards. I mean, there was just nothing. The community sent towels, linens, just things they needed, clothes, all this kind of stuff. They paid for a headstone for the mom who had passed away from breast cancer because they couldn't afford a headstone. And so the long and the short is that's for the first time I really realized what the impact of the community was.
Mm-hmm.
And how huge it was and how much they cared. I mean, you know it, but that's when I really felt it. And that was a huge thing for me. And that went on for years. And Zoe will be 21 in December, which is incredible. In Dallas in 2012, it was a little bit warm. I mean, after Boston in 2011, my bar is pretty high. So when people said it was hot here or there, it's like, yeah, but you should have been in Boston in 11. I was kind of off by myself walking. And I saw a survivor up on the side, and I went up to her. She was the smart one. She was in the shade. And I went up and I said, I saw your button. I said, all survivors get a hug. I want you to know we're all out here walking for you. And we're here to support you in what we do, and that type of thing. And she kind of pushed away a little bit, and tears started running down her cheeks and all this, and which gets me crying. And she said, no. And she said, thank you. And I just I never had thought of that before. And she said, when we see you walk, and not me, but everybody collectively, the community, she said, you give us hope. And I'd never heard that before. And that short little time with her made such an impact, because I think we lose sight sometime of the simple things we do when we walk, and just walking by a survivor and showing that type of support means so much to them. I once made a comment to Komen one time about 5 years ago when the numbers were going down a little bit. I said, if we didn't make a penny off of these walks, we got to walk,
Yes.
because the impact we make by being out there
Mhm.
is something a lot of people will walk for years and not fully comprehend.
Mhm.
And that lady on the side of the road, when she said, "No, you give us hope," just meant so much to me, because it gave me a perspective I really hadn't fully comprehended before. And then the third one was in Atlanta back in 11 when I was doing all the walks. It was Sunday and we were coming down this one path through a park. And one of the ladies I was going over to say hi to, one of the walker stalkers on the side, she says, "You need to go see the lady across the path there. She's an X number of year survivor, but it's returned, and she's heard about you, and she just wants to say thank you." And so I went over and I gave her a big hug, and I said, "Thank you so much for being out here, and how are you doing?" And we talked, and she just pulled really tight, and she just whispered, "Thank you." And that was all. And then she gave me a big hug. And it was 8 years later, I posted a photo. And when somebody wanted a few photos, it could have been Komen even, of a few of my highlights. And I had a picture of Zoe. I had a picture of the lady from Dallas. And I found the picture of this lady from Atlanta. She saw that photo. And she wrote me and she says, "I'm that lady."
Oh, whoa.
It's 8 years later.
No way.
She said, "I will never forget you coming over to give me that hug."
Aw.
And
Jim, that's
the point
beautiful.
is, and if you listen to me and we walk and we talk, I believe in the mustard seed. This mustard seed is one of the smallest seeds, but it grows into a very strong bush. And if I can relate that to the 3-day, we never know what high five, little smile,
Mhm.
a gentle hug, whatever it is, a simple action that we take that we think nothing of, because it's part of our nature. It's something we always, but the tremendous impact it can make on somebody, and how that will grow over time and become something that in that other person's life will become a major part of their life. It'll be, it's the thing that got them through a walk, something they never thought they could accomplish. And it was something we just do.
Mhm.
And so I always try to remind people that when you're out on the walk, even if you don't think you're accomplishing something, you're probably doing something that you don't realize has made a difference in somebody's life, and how much that could grow during their life and make an impact on their life. So, never feel like you're out there and you're not making an impact, because you are probably making a lot bigger of an impact than you ever thought you were. And so those are kind of 3 different things in all the years that just, when I look back, I kind of go, wow, I can remember those. Those were turning points. Those were things that really, they live with me. They changed my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I share something real quick?
Yeah.
Sure.
When I first did the Avon in 2001, there was a little petite survivor, and she showed out pre-dawn to cheer off the walkers. And to all of us, she gave a shoelace bow, and she recited this little thing: "This is who we are. This is what we do. Shoelaces saved my life."
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, Sherry. We have just a few minutes left, so I want to make sure I
Sure.
get through some more of the questions that we have for you, Jim. But Andy touched on this a little bit, just the incredible legacy that you are building and leaving with your participation in and fundraising for the 3-day. Like, do you take a second to think about that? Like the impact of $250,000 raised? Like, what does that mean to you?
If I could use Albert Pujols recently.
Sure, I was just
one of my
quoting him the
heroes.
other day.
Yeah,
Who?
when they ask him about all this stuff at the end, I feel like I'm kind of, and I am not equating trying to equate myself with him, but I like his philosophy. And that is, when I get all done with this, I may look back and go, "Whoa!" you know, but not now.
Yeah.
There's more important things.
Mhm.
It's somebody asked me in, I think it was Chicago, they said, "Jim, why do you do all the walks? Why do you do, 4 out of 4, 7 out of 7, whatever?" And I said, you know what? Every time I go out and do a walk, I have yet to do a walk. Maybe the virtual walks, it doesn't count, but for the real walk, I said, I can come home and on Monday morning, when I look back, I can think of at least one thing that made an impact. It was a conversation. It was whatever. I said, I'm blessed. I can go to these walks. Why would I miss a walk and miss an opportunity to have another life-changing event?
Yeah.
And so I think of it that way. And when I get all done, and I may look back and go, wow, I have really been blessed to be able to do that many walks. I've been very blessed by an incredible support or group of people that have allowed me to raise the money and allowed me to walk. But right now, the focus is on, what we do next and finding a cure. I still hope one day in my lifetime we'll have that victory and we can have one big walk with everybody together and celebrate. I mean, that's probably the big thing.
Yeah, very good. Okay, what is your number one piece of fundraising advice?
Think out of the box, and think. What I tell a lot of people is take something you are passionate about and figure out how to make a fundraiser out of it. Because I firmly believe that I love baking, but you will never see me near a bake sale. I am not going to go out and hawk cupcakes for $5 a piece. It's not me.
Fair
So I
enough.
won't do that, because the people that are paying $5 a cupcake, they'll go, well, Jim doesn't look too passionate about this. I'm not too sure if he's passionate about the 3-day either. So I always tell people, pick something you're passionate with and figure out how to make a fundraiser out of there, because that passion for the fundraiser shows through with the passion of why you're doing it in the first place. And don't get discouraged if something doesn't work. Okay, you tried, move on, find another one.
Yeah.
And
Now,
if I might add, my number one fundraiser out of all of that, we will probably hit $70,000 this year
right,
on recyclables.
right, that's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Okay. Now, do you have your sights on it? What's your next fundraising milestone that you're hoping to hit?
I don't know. I always went in chunks of 25,000. So I guess the next one would be 275. Our goal every year is to raise $20,000, regardless of how many walks I'm doing. I don't look at it, or I got to raise 2,300 a walk. We set the bar a little bit higher, because that forces me to stay focused. It'd be too easy for me to lose focus or go on off to something else. So we always set it at 20. It's a nice round number. So if I can do that, 275.
Nice. Very good. Well, Jim, on behalf of everyone as part of the Susan G. Komen 3-day and the Susan G. Komen family, just again, a huge thank you to the incredible accomplishment that you have hit and the contribution that you've made to this community. Our hats are off to you, and we're so incredibly grateful that the 3-day is where you have chosen to put your passion and your time. We know raising that kind of money is not easy. As a fundraiser myself, I know the dedication and commitment that goes into raising that money all year long. So a huge thank you to you. We are at the top of the hour. I have a couple of reminders that I want to go through. I'm dropping a couple of links in the chat, which is one for the Dallas Fort Worth 3-day event prep webinar that is taking place next 1 week from today. And then we have the San Diego event prep webinar, which is happening on November 2nd. So those have been a great opportunity for us to share information with all of you in terms of what you can expect on the event, and reminders that help us communicate information to you guys to try to get in front of some of the last minute questions that come up right before the event. So if you're doing Dallas or San Diego or both of them, please make sure that you RSVP for those. Those are a great opportunity to get a lot of the event information. And then I did also include the link to our final social hour of the year, which will take place in December. And I'm sure we'll come up with something fun for that. But I do want to do a group photo. So reapply your lip gloss or fix your hair. And I'm going to do a couple screenshots. So if you don't want your photo, then go off camera. And I am gonna try and do this, but I saw who's on here who's good at this anyway. I should have a backup. So maybe Ken and Chris Cocker can do a screenshot as well, because they'll probably get one better than I did. But okay, I am going to get a screenshot and then I'm gonna get another one. So just 1 second, because we have 2 pages. Okay, great. And then the next screen, stand by. It's not going to be good, but you know, we'll do what we can. All right, once more. Great. Okay, let me make sure I didn't forget any of the other reminders. Thank you both to Ellen and Jim for sharing. Ellen for sharing your story, and Jim for just inspiring us with everything that you're doing with all the money that you're raising. And Ellen, again, just thank you so much for being willing to share your story and for us all to really to learn a little bit more about what it means to show up for people in their greatest moment of need. You shared some really valuable life lessons in there too that I know we can all take to heart. We also have, for those of you who are participating in Dallas, we have the Dallas Fort Worth Event Experience Fundraising Challenge, which is going on right now. It started on Monday, and the participant who raises the most money between the 10th and the 14th will get the ultimate Dallas Fort Worth 3-day experience, which includes car service to and from the airport or from your home if you're local, and a $100 gift certificate to a restaurant near the host hotel. And what people love the most is that this also comes with an out on the route pass first. You're first out on the route both Saturday and Sunday. And in Dallas, we have a fun little bus ride on Saturday. So you will be on the first bus and you will still be first out on the route. So for those of you who we will be seeing in Dallas and San Diego, we are very much looking forward to that. And for those of you who were with us in Boston or Chicago, thank you so much. And thank you for being here tonight. And as always, thank you for being such a wonderful part of this beautiful community. We are very grateful for all of you and appreciate you taking time out of your schedule tonight to be with us. So have a great night. See you on the 3-day, and thank you very much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Marlene.
Bye.